So my suggestion would be to practice this exercise for 2 weeks. You do it about once every day or two, just depends on what kind of items you're using it with. But I would use, medium to super high level chews to help the dog generalize that it doesn't matter what they have, you're just going to get them to move away from it, and then they can come back and have the thing back. Try to think of in your head 80% of the time that you take something away from them, they get it back. Only 20% of the time that do you take it, you keep it. That way, those stats will help the dog be happy and relaxed during your approach, and you'll keep yourself safe and out of harm's way by getting them to move away from the item instead of you taking it from between their paws. I begin with just tossing high value food rewards at the dog. I want to use something that is similarly high value to the dog as the thing that they have. So since he's got a raw marrow bone, I don't want to be throwing like dog kibble. And I actually was using cooked chicken thigh, which he was pretty interested in. But I'm kind of systematically throwing it at him really close and then a little bit further away, and then I'll let him get back interested in the bone. And once he starts chewing it again, I'll start the process again, teaching him to go a little bit further and a little bit further. This guy's 3 years old, but I've never done this exercise with him before. And he's a greyhound. He's just thin by nature, so don't be worried. But in any event, I teach him to just willingly walk away and not be so tense around the bone by getting him further and further away with a positive association of chicken thigh in this circumstance. Then soon what I'll do is I will get him further and further away, and then like you can see right now, I just pick up the bone for a moment. He's like, "Where'd it go?" And I give it right back to him. I'm going to practice this, 3 or 4 times where I take it and then I give it back, because dogs learn by trial and error. So if I take something from the dog, like their bone, only when I have to go to work and they can't be left alone or what have you, if 5 out of 5 times an undesirable experience happens for the dog where a human approaches, they take the item, they start to negatively associate. It's not fun when you come towards me when I have something of high value. And that's a recipe for disaster when you have kids or other people involved, because the dog gets tense, because they might allow you to take the item from them, but they won't necessarily allow anyone else to do so. This way, in this method, I'm just teaching the dog to be happy to walk away and be like, "It's fine, you'll get it back, just relax," because maybe 4 to 5 times they get it back and I only take it and keep it once. As you can see there, I got him further away. Keep me safe. You can always tether your dog if you're concerned if it's a bite risk, just as a secondary measure, and you get them to walk away, so then you just step out of the way if they actually launched at you. I've never had that happen with this specific method, but it's definitely worth throwing in that safeguard if you're at all concerned. Each time when I get him away, I let him reinvest in the bone once he goes back to it. Ultimately, my intention is to only give the dog a food reward once they've walked all the way away from it. But with him and this circumstance, since it's our first time, I have to give him 2 or 3 food rewards just to lure him away from the item. This exercise is to condition the dog to enjoy your presence. And when you come near them, when they have something of high value, they aren't in that scarcity mindset being like, "Stay away from my thing." They're like, "Hey, what do you got for me?" And they're just more willing and compliant to just walk away from the item because they're not scared you're going to take it and they're never going to see it. So this exercise is really good to do with puppies. And you just be mindful that you teach the dog to walk away from the thing instead of going in between the danger zone of their paws when they have that possession. For whatever reason, dogs just tend to be more reactive or threatening, and will guard items if they're in their personal space bubble. If I get the dog out of that bubble around the item and I move them 5 to 10 feet back, they tend to be much more calm and relaxed when I go to grab that item. So then they're not as likely to potentially bite me. This works also for dogs who have been even threatening over bones for years. And I'm using the highest value thing I could find, which is a cow leg bone with marrow in it and sinew, and it's frozen, and he's really into it.